Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shrikar, Rahul and Josh. They're all Indian names, including Josh. Well, we have Yash, and then in Bengali that becomes Josh. I can remember the Indian names easier than the English names now. Oh, that's more like a Jewish name, I guess, is it? Joshua. Yeah. Anyway, that's your name this time round. How many lives have you had? Ever think about that? The foundational mistake of Western civilization is they don't realize that we don't have one life. We have life after life after life. The whole of Western civilization is based on a major ontological existential mistake. How about that? So you've been here now for 2 days, and normally you might think, we'll ask you, well, how do you feel? Are you enjoying it, your time being a monk for 2 days? Of course, there's no real thing as being a monk for 2 days. I guess you could do it in Thai tradition, but it usually have to be at least 2 weeks. Because they have a rule in Thailand that you're supposed to, every Buddhist, which means pretty much everyone, male, they have to be a monk for at least some time in their life. So they often do it for 2 weeks. And that's it, just formality is done. So are you enjoying yourself? That's the wrong question. That's another major mistake of the whole materialistic civilization. We're here to enjoy ourselves. But in the Vedic culture, most of the orthodox schools, and definitely Buddhism, which is unorthodox, starts with the premise that this world is full of suffering. That being born again and again and again isn't fun. It's suffering again and again and again. And the purpose of life, atyanta dukkha nivriti eva muktihi. To end suffering. To bring an end to all this gross suffering. That is called mukti, or liberation. So the purpose of being a monk is to get away from enjoying. Don't enjoy. Don't come and enjoy. Enjoyment entangles us in suffering. Just like night is followed by day, winter is followed by summer, the so-called enjoyment in this material world is actually suffering. And even when we're so-called enjoying, we're not really enjoying. It's some interaction of the senses with the sense objects. In contemporary scientific language, they'd call that a dopamine burst or some adrenaline burst. Well, monk life is meant for contemplative life. That especially definitely in the Western tradition, you don't find many monks in the Christian tradition. It's a dying species. Not really a species. But and yeah, in the Eastern traditions also. You also have fighting monks, right? Kung Fu, Shaolin, all this kind of thing. And here at Krishna Life we have dancing monks. Now that sounds unlikely, doesn't it? And dancing is not something that monks do, but we do it every single day. It's not party once a week or once a month. Every single morning. You'll see some people are partying at 4:30 in the morning. They've been up all night, but we get up every morning. That's what convinced me. Well, I already thought I have to join when I came in 1975 first to the Hare Krishna Center just outside London. I was stuck there by Krishna's arrangement because I went by bicycle, then I got a puncture, then it started snowing, and it was a village on a Sunday with no bicycle repair shop. So I was stuck there overnight. What do you think about that? I was stuck in the Krishna temple, which I didn't object to. And they got me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and cold shower, and then I saw everyone's dancing at 4:30 in the morning for love of God. And I thought, wow, this is real. This is something worth getting into, because who gets up, who's so enthusiastic about anything that they get up early in the morning? Some people do every day, some people do because they have to work at that time, but every single day. And it's not just an enthusiasm, but it's dancing for love of God. So that's our invitation to you. Come and join the dancing monks. Well, you have done, at least for 2 days. You can come time to time, or the opportunity is open for a commitment. How long? Lifelong commitment? Life after life. Whoa, that sounds pretty heavy commitment. But actually, if we perfect our life, if we get through doing what we come here to do, there won't be any more rebirth. We go to the spiritual world to join God. And what is God doing? Guess. Dancing. Nietzsche, the famous or infamous, some kind of philosopher, very influential. We get all these ideas. Be all that you can. Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. It's all coming from Nietzsche, the idea. The will to power, be the best you can. Individual and other philosophers, Sartre and all these. But Nietzsche, he said, sarcastically, because he didn't believe in God. He hated the idea of God. And I think he hated the church more than anything. And he said, I could believe in a God if he danced. Well, he didn't get Prabhupada's books. He was a bit ahead of his time, you could say, or born in a wrong time period. So yeah, human life is meant for God realization, the highest goal of human life. Here in Georgia, an upcoming event is the 99th birthday of Jimmy Carter, one of the greatest ever Georgians. Maybe was he the only one who was ever the US president? The only one. And I don't know now, but at the time he was widely considered to be a flop. But anyway, his birthday is coming up, and that's a pretty big thing. How many of you three are thinking of becoming the President of the United States? 0. Some men are born great, some men achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. So Jimmy Carter, he seems to be somewhat of a good guy. Seems to be. All right, we won't get into all the history, but it seems like he was trying to be good and nice and all this kind of thing. Disputable. But ultimately, what is the use? Because in the course of how many births? Uncountable births. Just like if we think, what is the extent of time back in the past and into the future? We can't imagine. We can imagine 10 years in the future. 50 years in the future, it's hard to imagine. There are people making prophecies. But if you look 50 years into the past, well, I can in this lifetime look 50 years into the past. It's hard to imagine that what we take for granted nowadays. You have a phone wherever you are, pretty much, and you can phone anyone else, anywhere else. It's unimagined. For instance, 100 years in the future, 1,000 years in the future, 1,000,000 years in the future, but 1,000,000 years just in time, blip in time. And then space, unlimited, theoretically. So how many lives have we had? You've already been the President of the United States. Maybe not exactly the United States, because it's only a new country, even by international standards. But something similar, we've all been in big positions. We've all been ants running around. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. But it's always down. We're in ignorance. So human life is meant for coming to a higher platform of consciousness than simply trying to enjoy ourselves on a very superficial platform and trying to make ourselves bigger than others, better than others, which is an animalistic pursuit. The dogs, you don't see it much in urban America, I guess. But in India you have dogs running around on the streets, in the villages, and the dogs snap at each other and bark, and one dog shows they're bigger than, better than the other. So this idea of showing yourself better, it's animalistic. Human life is meant for rising to the consciousness of understanding, first of all, I am not this body. I've been in so many bodies, but I am an eternal spiritual being. They don't teach you that in the schools. They're not going to. They teach you the opposite, actually. The idea is that, well, there was long, long ago, there was no time, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. And then nothing exploded, Big Bang, right? And then it all settled down, blah, 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 blah. And then there are a few cells, and the cells became, it was a long story, they became monkeys, and then the monkeys became Charles Darwin, and then here we all are together now. That's what they teach you. We're just a bunch of chemicals. But we're not chemicals. We're spiritual beings. Chemicals don't have feelings, emotions, desires, ambitions, suffering, pleasure. So there we go. There's another major foundational mistake of contemporary civilization. The idea, it's not explicitly said, but it's there right in the education system, which they force us into from the very beginning, programming us that we're just chemicals, there's no spiritual dimension, we only have one life. All wrong. A to Z. So this Krishna Life organization, it is a monastery. We dance, yeah. We also have, you may say it's unusual, but that this dancing is an expression of the soul in relation to the supreme dancer, Krishna. And we have study of scripture, no blind faith. It's not that you have to blindly believe everything. That's big in Christianity. I don't know how much you're raised in Christianity. I was. I went to a Catholic schools. And the whole idea is that you just have to believe it unquestioningly. But it didn't take long before we started thinking, well, why? The Muslims also say you have to follow this unquestioningly. And even within Catholicism, I never heard of Orthodox Christianity, but we knew about Protestants. They're the bad guys. We're Catholics. You have to believe the Catholic version. And just, that's it. You just believe it. That's all. But we find in Bhagavad Gita, which is the foundational text in Krishna consciousness, it's a book of knowledge. Rather, it's not dogma. Krishna instructs Arjuna, and Arjuna objects again and again, and Krishna answers his questions until Arjuna is convinced. Of course, some basic faith is required, but that's true of everything. So basic faith is required that life is meant for more than simply getting born, going to school, getting a job, getting some money, passing semen, passing poop out your backside, and how you come into this world screaming and you go out screaming also, and finished, and it's all over. There's more, and that is worth pursuing. Bhagavad Gita means genuine spiritual knowledge. When you hear the word spiritual, there are all kinds of really strange ideas. But this is standard spiritual knowledge which has formed the basis of India's spiritual civilization for literally thousands of years. And it's being practiced here in a contemporary setting. But the knowledge is the same. The spiritual processes are the same. And the result is going to be the same. Understanding who we are, who is God. God means, if we're going to give a full understanding of the word God, it comes in Krishna. And you may say, well, that's your dogmatism. But actually, Krishna, like every word in Sanskrit, has a specific meaning. It's not an arbitrarily given word. It's not an arbitrarily given name. Krishna means all attractive. So God means, or the Supreme means who is supreme in all respects. Power, yes. Wealth, everything belongs to God. Yash. Yasha means fame. What is that verse? Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasha shriyaha. Beauty, supremely beautiful, supremely knowledgeable, and supremely detached from everything also. Supremely kind, supremely loving. So Krishna is the complete understanding of the term God, and this Krishna Life Monastery is meant for serving Krishna, because God means supreme, and we are servants of the Supreme. And everyone here is serving. Serving Krishna, serving each other. And that brings happiness. Dancing is an expression of happiness. So that happiness, that's spiritual happiness. And Krishna likes that we dance. So we can please Krishna by dancing. Everything we do is meant for the pleasure of Krishna. Okay, there are a few words, and in a nutshell, we're inviting you to come and join the dancing monks. Like I say, you can come time to time. Take these books with you. You already have some of the books. Try to study, understand. And any questions you can put, and then we're going to go for we're going to a dancing festival. What's it called? Sweet Auburn? Sweet Auburn, yeah. So people are dancing, and we'll be dancing. But our dancing is directly from the spiritual platform. Yeah, so.
So there are many religions that have been thousands upon thousands of years old. So,
really? Which ones?
Like Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity.
Yeah,
like
religion,
Greek.
it's actually a Western concept, the idea of religion.
Okay.
There was no such term as Hinduism until it was introduced from outside India. We have in the let's say very broadly, the Western mindset, the idea of religion and non-religion, religion and secularism, separation of religion and state. But that was never there in the Vedic tradition. Religion, what we call it, it's something which pervades all spheres of life. In Islam, that concept is there also. It's not something you do on Sundays, you go to church for 1 hour. But it pervades every aspect of life. So there's this idea, of religion, and it's put into boxes, different boxes, belief systems. So, conventionally we talk about different religions. There are different religions, but the ultimate and highest truth is one. So, you're going to say?
So is there a way to express that in different religions? Like, is there a way to reach Krishna consciousness through practicing other religions?
Yeah. Then all religious processes should be focused on God, and there are what we call different religions, and they all facilitate the human need to approach God. And as much as there is actual knowledge of God and actual connection with God, then we can connect with God through different religious processes. We have in the Mosaic commandments, the first commandment, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul. That's the essence of Krishna consciousness. There are also various criteria by which we can identify what is religion. There should be austerity, cleanliness, mercy, truthfulness. To the extent that those are manifested within a religious system, we can understand that that religious system is developed. Which doesn't mean too many of them in the world today, because many religious systems, they promote animal killing, which means, where's the mercy? Yeah, so...
Oh, thank you. That was good.
So before you got into Krishna life, what was your thought process like to choose which path to
My
go?
process was non-Krishna death, before Krishna life. My thought process, well, where does it all begin? How many lifetimes do you want to go back? In this lifetime, foolishly wasting my life. I was in prison. It was called John F. Kennedy Comprehensive School. Warner's End, Hemel Hempstead, Hertfordshire, United Kingdom. I used to look out the window and think, I'm in prison. I'm in school. So I was in school and I was expected to go to university, but I couldn't face the prospect of going to university. But then when I looked around and thought, what do I want to do? I couldn't find anything that I wanted to do. I thought, well, I got to do something. What am I doing in my life? So I thought, well, I got to do the best thing I can with this life. So I thought, well, the best thing you can do is to try to find God. And then God revealed himself to me in this way. That's it in brief. I wasn't doing much. I was in school. I left school at age 17 and futtered around for a year or so, a little bit less than a year, and then I joined you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I also had a quick question. I've kind of asked the other monks this and got a nice answer, but I also wanted to hear what you have to say. So with self-realization, when you mentioned like the basic faith that's necessary, and then there's like some experience, or that's what to my understanding. What was that like direct experience like for you? Like, was it beyond this like transcendental happiness, or was there something else involved as well? Yeah.
Well, there's a great happiness when you realize that you're looking for something, you're looking for God, and God is directing you to what He's bringing you in. That's a great realization. Like I said, when I saw all the devotees dancing at 4:30 in the morning, I realized they're getting something. They got something. You don't do that unless you're getting something. You're experiencing something. So yeah, experience is there. We have in Gita, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam Susukam Karatam Avyayam. Krishna says that this knowledge is the highest knowledge, the most confidential of all secrets, the most pure, and it can be directly experienced. It is performed happily, and it's eternal.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So, we're experiencing this happiness, and this happiness in Krishna consciousness. We haven't experienced it anywhere else. But even though Krishna says it is the most confidential, it is the greatest, what if there's something more? What if this question? What if there's something out there that is greater than...
If there's something more, show us. Krishna says in Gita, Nanyat, what is that? Nanyat parataram, matap parataram nanyat. There's nothing greater than me. And that is accepted by all, historically, by all great self-realized personalities. If you've got a better conception of God, tell us. Most religious processes, they don't really have much idea about God at all. They talk about God, it's all supposed to be about God, but they don't really know. And that leads them to imagine what God is like. And we have the famous painting of God sitting on a cloud with an old man with a beard. But God shouldn't be... if He's influenced by time, that He's old, He should be really old. But He's not influenced by time. He's forever young looking. He's the oldest and always fresh, because time doesn't influence. He's beyond the influence of time. So, Hare Krishna. Shall we go? Let's go. Hare Krishna.
Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Maharaj ki
Jai!